We're making progress on my Carb Cheater versus Sniper EFI series. And there's good news and bad news. The good news is the Carb Cheater is installed. The bad news is I woke up to 2 inches of snow this morning, so getting the opportunity to really test it before spring, probably not going to happen. Greetings, fellow DIYer, and welcome to my video. Sorry it took me so long to get an update on this project. I have been extremely busy this fall. I'm a football official, and as you can imagine, that takes up a ton of time. Consequently, I have not had a lot of time to work on this project. To make matters worse, to properly do the test that I want to do between Carb Cheater and Sniper EFI, I had to take a perfectly good Edelbrock Performer intake manifold off of this engine and install another perfectly good Edelbrock Performer intake. Now, the reason I did that is because for Sniper EFI, you really need to mill down part of the dividing wall between a typical dual plane intake manifold. And to have this test be completely apples to apples, although it's a carburetor with a computer-controlled vacuum leak versus fuel injection, it's never going to be apples to apples. But to get the test as close as I possibly could, I wanted everything to be as the same as I could make it. And because I needed to replace that intake for the Sniper EFI, I went ahead and replaced it before putting in Carb Cheater. That way I have a fair test. Interestingly enough, I actually had to go into the carburetor and make some fine adjustments after milling down part of that center wall. The idle had changed a little bit, and just the overall function just needed a little bit of adjustment. That's proof positive that milling down that center section does affect how the intake and the carburetor work together. So in my open, I said that the Carb Cheater was installed, and I really mean installed when it comes to electrical work. I typically never use quick connections if I can avoid it. I typically solder things, I use heat shrink tubing, and I also like to cut my wires and make sure they're the exact correct length and that everything is installed cleanly and professionally and that there will be no issues of corrosion or excess wire, any of that kind of stuff in the future. And that is clearly not what we have here. First and foremost, the wiring harness for Carb Cheater is ridiculous in the best sort of way. There's gotta be 4 or 5 feet on every single one of the wires that come out of the harness that plugs into the Carb Cheater unit. Who does that? I mean, normally when you buy a wiring harness, you have short little pigtails that you've got to splice into your own wires. There is not a single wire in this setup that I could not have run to any location on the engine bay. Now, this is not the permanent home for my Carb Cheater because, well, obviously I'm going to be putting Sniper EFI on this engine. So I didn't want to cut any of those wires to length. And so that's why we have this big obnoxious coil of wires right here. I tried to loop everything up and kind of tie it off so that it is out of the way. But this is not the cleanliness of a typical install from me when it comes to electrical. So I've got the air cleaner and the solenoid for the controlled vacuum leak down here. There's actually a hole in my radiator core support where fresh air is going to be coming in, so I thought that would be a great location for that. It was also easy access to run the hoses up to the carburetor. And then my Carb Cheater is tucked right here. One thing that you have to keep in mind, especially on an older vehicle like this, these springs are kind of big and obnoxious, and when you close them, they take up this space right here. In fact, I had gotten some of my wiring, I had it running across the top of my MSD box, and it was making contact with the springs. Now, the springs weren't cutting into it or anything like that, but over long-term driving, it could have potentially worn holes in the insulation on the wiring. And so I chose to kind of move everything down and get it out of the way. That's just something that you need to keep in mind if you are putting a carb cheater on something similar to this old Ford iron that I have right here. The install went really easy. It was not super hard. The hardest part was getting down in there and welding the bung in. Now, Carb Cheater comes with one of everything. You've got plenty of wire terminals. You've got all this extra wire for wiring. They even send you 2 O2 sensor bungs. You've got a clamp on one and you've got a weld on one. I chose, because I have a welder and, well, frankly, I'm a glutton for punishment, I chose to drill the hole and do a weld on unit. And it's down, you can't really see it in the picture, but it is just down past the header where the passenger side bank of exhaust just starts to straighten out and head back. Of course, basic install, anytime you're putting in an O2 sensor, it needs to go in at an angle so that moisture and condensation can drip off of it and not damage it, which is the case with this install. Overall, not a hard install, pretty simple. Now, there's one thing that it very specifically says in the instructions and on the wiring harness that I didn't do. The wiring harness for this unit specifically says to hook up both the hot and the ground from Carb Cheater directly to your battery. Now, it comes with a keyed source, so obviously that's being switched so you're not draining down your battery. The problem is, if you look right here, there's no battery. This is where the battery on a 62 Galaxy normally lives. Mine lives in the trunk. And even though the wires that came with the Carb Cheater were extremely long, they weren't long enough to go all the way back to the trunk. I can only assume that the reason that they're telling you to hook directly to the battery is because if you don't have a really good ground, electronics, especially computer-controlled electronics, don't work very well. And I'm assuming that's the case with this setup. So what I did is I made sure that everything was powered really well and grounded really well. If you look right here, I've got my starter solenoid. The power for Carb Cheater is coming off of this stud. And actually the battery cable coming from the trunk of the car is also connecting to this stud. So for all intents and purposes, I am connected directly to the battery on the positive side. As far as the negative side, and again, grounding being super important, I've got the ground wire going to this backside screw on the starter solenoid. And then I also ran an auxiliary ground wire from that same screw to the engine block because I wanted to ensure that I had a really good ground so that we didn't have any issues with this setup. I've played with it. I've run it a little bit. Carb Cheater's working exactly the way it's supposed to, so I'm thinking that my workaround is as good as being directly to the battery. I've also reached out to Thunderhead 289 to see exactly what the logic is for connecting directly to the battery. And if I hear back from him before I edit up this video, I will splice in some information as to what he said and why that is their recommendation. All right, let me take you into the cab. It's not going to be pretty because, well, it's kind of hard to film in the cab of a vehicle, but I'm going to do the best I can. I'll show you some of the basics on the setup and we'll fire this thing up and see how it goes. All right, there's a couple things that really impressed me about this kit, and one of them is it comes with literally everything. Like if you need it to install it on your vehicle, it comes with it. And one such thing is this little guy right here, which is your cigarette lighter adapter to be able to plug in your Carb Cheater. Now, I'm very grateful that this piece was sent, but I'm also kind of disappointed with it because when you plug it into the cigarette lighter, it is really hard to get out. Hence the reason this piece of tape so that I can easily remove it. Had to take it out with a screwdriver the first time. So that's my one little complaint. It's really not that big of an issue in the grand scheme of things. All right, let's go ahead and plug in our Carb Cheater. And you can see it trying to connect. Of course, it's not connecting because there's no power to the unit. So we're going to go ahead and turn the ignition on. And we have the basic readout display. Obviously, it's showing that it's out of sync because, well, we're not having any fuel or anything go in there. So we're going to go ahead and click this. And you have a whole bunch of different displays that you can choose from. We're going to get past those. And then we have settings. There are 20 different settings, but it's all pretty much plug and play. The first setting is whether the auto tune is on or off. And if you're going to be using Carb Cheater, it needs to be on. Now, let's say you want to use Carb Cheater as a diagnostic tool to check to see how well your carburetor has been tuned. That can be done simply by turning Carb Cheater off. And that will allow it to still read your air-fuel mixture, all that kind of stuff. But it's not going to make adjustments on the fly. Here we have the air-fuel ratio. I have it set at 13:1 for idle, 14:1 for cruise, idle adjustment limit in percent, cruise adjustment limit in percent. Choke time is set at 60 seconds. That was what was there initially, and I think I'm going to leave that. Target idle, I have mine set at 900 RPM. Idle adjustment rate. Now, this is a new feature that the latest upgrade added, where you can add a higher of adjustment rate. We're going to start with the stock setting for the idle adjustment rate as well as the cruise adjustment rate, and I'll play with that as we get time using the setup. Tune assist range. You've got idle and cruise. If you toggle this up and down, it can be idle only or cruise only. Idle control style, you can do the idle based on RPM, or you can toggle up and down and it'll do it based on AFR. High load vacuum is 8. That's the stock setting it came with. I'm just going to leave that there for the time being. Number of engine cylinders. If you don't know this, you shouldn't be working on your project. In my case, it's a V8, so we're going to have it at 8. Shift light, I set mine at 5,500 RPM. Screen orientation, you flip this, it will flip the screen orientation up and down. Pretty straightforward. Relay control, so part of the extra wiring that comes with the kit is because it is set up to control a relay. So that at a certain RPM, if you wanted the relay to come on, that kind of thing, you have that option. Obviously, it's set at a super high number right now so that it's not trying to trigger anything. This is your code. You can change that. Miles per hour or kilometers per hour. And then we have the active gauges. So this is the gauge that you're going to have it come to when it first turns on. Let's go with that one. And then once you're all set and done, you just go exit. We've got our setup right there. So with it turned off, I'm going to go ahead and fire this old gal up, and we can see what it's doing as far as monitoring where the carburetor is. Because keep in mind, right now, everything is turned off for the auto adjust. It's cold out, so let's choke it a little bit and fire this thing up. And that's the gauge we chose, and it's showing we are currently at 1700 RPM because we have the choke pulled out, and it's showing our current air fuel. Now again, it's not making any adjustments for me because I have that feature turned off. Let's go to one that has just some colors. There we go. So we got our air fuel showing when we're in the safe, and then we've also got our vacuum control. Look at that. Just by opening the choke up a little bit, my air-fuel ratio got a whole lot closer to where it was supposed to be. All right. We're not too bad as far as our air-fuel ratio at idle. and vacuum's good. We're still idling a little low because, well, it's not warmed up. Now, watch what happens when I do this. You should hear the engine idle come up. And see it? It's making adjustments on the fly. I have it set to auto adjust to 900 RPM. And that's right where it's sitting. That is a really nice feature to have. This is such a cold-blooded car that having this adjustment to help with idle after I've pushed in the choke is a great thing. And that right there is my Carb Cheater in a nutshell. I'm loving this. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them down in the comments, and I would love to get back to you.
If you like what you've seen, please click like. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.